You want a piece of me, boy?
Nuclear launch detected.
Welcome back to the studios in Paris. So now I'm with Funka and Roti. Welcome back, Funka.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back. I got to watch my first game as a spectator of NationWars, casted the first ones, and I got to see the United Kingdom and my good old Ben just taking the victory. It's good to see them in the top 16.
Yeah, it's fun as well, especially after last year. They had that tough draw against Neep, who was absolutely just crushing almost everybody in 2017, especially in the foreign scene. So it's a really good chance that we a good opportunity to see more of the other guys as well, and a very strong showing by Risky. So I'd say a very solid start to our event.
Oh yeah, and you looked really smart on this one because Risky was actually.
I mean, that
really
does
good.
tend to happen pretty often, Funka.
Nice.
It happens.
So now let's move on to the next match of the day, Norway versus Switzerland. So let's take a closer look to Norway. So it's Toute, Scythe and Poseidon. And so actually, do you know who is the captain of Norway?
We'll see right now. Actually, it is Snoot. Okay,
So Snoot is the team captain.
I wasn't sure because the thing with team captains in NationWars is that you have to do the interviews, and sometimes it's not just the best player that gets to be captain. They actually get to decide amongst each other who's going to be the captain. And I felt like maybe Snoot didn't want to talk that much or something.
I think Snoot kind of enjoys bantering a little bit and
Really?
talking about his nation as well. Snoot is pretty comfortable, and he's a very chatty guy as well. So I'm happy to obviously hear some words from Snoot. However you look at it, Snoot is the absolute ace player of this team. He could single-handedly carry this nation very deep into this tournament. But I'm also very excited to see more of Scythe. And Poseidon as well is a name that's been around for a while, but we don't get to see those guys that often. So a good opportunity to learn more about the other two players from Norway.
Yeah.
Do you have any fun fact about Norway? So it's not an island, no, just.
I mean, it's not an island, so I'm kind of lost for facts here. I mean, I believe that they have a very strict policy on declaring cars as green cars, because the Norwegian policy is kind of like cars will only do damage anyway, and then green cars, well, they'll do less damage, but they're just not a big fan of cars.
Okay, but that's actually a pretty fun fact. I think you can do better.
I mean, the average income in Norway is very high, actually. That is something that I do know, and it's also ridiculously expensive. I mean, both of those nations are very expensive to live.
Oh, yeah.
Switzerland, obviously, we know that it's an expensive country, but Norway is ridiculous. You can make a very silly amount of money by having very simple jobs, which is actually one of the main reasons why one of the best Warcraft 3 players of all time, in my opinion, was Creophilus. And even though he was very successful, at one point he's like, yeah, but I'm going to retire because, I'm making money. He won a couple $10,000 tournaments. He's like, but that's actually not enough in Norway, guys. I need way more than winning a tournament every now and then.
But
so.
You're right to actually mention that it is tough to be a pro gamer when you live in Norway because of the high quality of living in general and the high salaries, which means that even if you're a guy like Snoot and you won a couple $100,000 playing StarCraft, it's still hard to get by. But in NationWars, it always works perfectly for Norway. I mean, they are champions from Season 1 and Season 2. You can look at their stats. They are 12-4 in NationWars in general as a country. Snoot is 28-14. But if you take a look at Scythe and Poseidon, you see that that's the only second selection for Scythe, first selection for Poseidon. So obviously they did those results with a totally different team.
Yep, of course, back in the days we had players like Targa, we had Ike as well. Yeah,
all killed in Paris.
The Protoss legend, but it's definitely going to be fun to see these boys in action.
Yeah, really strong team Norway, and I think it's going to be a tough opponent for Switzerland.
Yeah, so they're going to play against Switzerland, formed with Funk. Not Funka.
Yeah, Funk.
Penguin.
I'm not good enough. And I'm also not.
And you're also not Swiss. That's a bigger problem.
Yeah, that's a bigger problem.
So we have Funk, Penguin, and Elroy in Switzerland. So what could we say about these players? They're quite not that famous compared to Snoot, of course.
Well, I think it's still a decent nation. They never did really well in NationWars, considering the level of the opposition that there is in other countries. Also, they don't have the best WCS record in general, which means they will play those top tier teams every time in the round of 32. But I'd say they've got a pretty competitive lineup, and I think they could take some games out of Norway. I would be surprised. Well, if Snoot starts, maybe it's a 4-0. But if not, then I can see it being a little bit closer than that.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems for Switzerland is that they've never really had a true top player. And in this format, you really want to have a star to rely on. You really need a strong ace player. Now, all three of these are very good players, but they don't have a player that we're like, okay, this player, Snoot, is going to go up against either, this. Then Snoot is really going to be shaking in his boots. Like, no, that's just not really the case. And that makes them underdogs here. Now, Elroy is a Zerg that has quite some experience. He's been to a lot of the WCS regional events, especially in Europe, like Valencia and stuff. He's almost there.
Yep.
And he's had a couple of good runs. He even spent some time in Korea a while ago. Penguin is, of course, the team manager of Storm Gaming, but also someone that's very competitive. He has participated a lot in the local events in America, events like Cheesedelphia or some of the Canadian events we've had. And then Funk is a name that's known in Europe, but yeah, doesn't really have the big achievements to his name.
Yeah, he plays. He plays in the French tournament that we also host with underdogs. Usually plays in that tournament. Does fairly well.
Is he an underdog?
Well, he is in this matchup. Okay. The question is he an underdog champion? I believe he won once, so that means that he's fairly competitive in the field of all the French players that we have in this tournament. But yeah, just in general, I think Penguin is not really a professional player. He is a competitive player in general, but I would say that the heavy lifters have to be either Elroy or Funk or the two of them at the same time. And I think Funk can do pretty well in general. I think he's a well-rounded player. Started playing quite a bit recently. And Elroy, it's just like it's hit or miss. Sometimes he will get amazing games, and especially in the ZVZ matchup is really impressive. But also sometimes he just, messed one game up and he's just out of it.
Has a lot to do with his activity as well. I think Elroy is not somebody who has played for like 5 years non-stop. He plays a lot for a while and then he kind of disappears because he just takes a break or he's busy with school. Then he shows up again, but it feels like he never really had a period where 2 years in a row he went absolutely all out on practice. And I think the same is for Penguin. Very competitive player. And Penguin is somebody who definitely is like, thinking outside of the box as well. He's more than willing to prepare a specific build on a specific map to maybe make some magic happen. But overall, he's going to be, having a tough time against the Norwegian players.
So it's StarCraft, so anything can happen. Like
Obviously. Especially in a best-of-one setup, Like, there's stuff that can happen, and that's why I kind of see this match not being like a, so one-sided, like 4-0 or anything. I think either Funk or Elroy can take a map. Maybe both of them can do it. Maybe Penguin can surprise. But in general, I would be super surprised if Switzerland was able to take out Norway, obviously one of the best countries that we have.
So let's talk about all of this with Snoot and Funk, the captains of the two teams.
All right.
The interview is ready, and so...
Okay, guys, are they here?
Yeah, hello.
Not yet, apparently.
But even Norway looks like the stronger team here. I mean,
they're here.
Oh.
Hello. Oh, okay. So
man, Snoot has really changed, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He looks a lot older and more mature, like that.
Hello, guys.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
What's up, guys? Pretty good. I like the football jersey. Looks good on you. It's a football jersey, yeah.
Yes. National pride.
Yeah, of course. I think that's the best day to wear it.
Okay,
yeah, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Besides the World Cup.
Yeah.
Which they actually are going to, I believe. Unbelievable.
What about Netherlands?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're not. That's why I'm mad. Anyway, great seeing you guys. Penguin, let's start off with you. How are you feeling? Obviously, Norway, tough nation to go up against in this format. But do you have something special planned? Talk to us.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the draw, actually. Like, obviously, Norway is really hard, but we have a very low seed. So I think Norway is one of the less difficult teams that we could have gone up against. Like, last year we had Germany, and we just got 4-0'd by Showtime very, very easily. So I feel like Snoot's very difficult, but I also feel like Snoot is slightly more beatable than somebody like Showtime, also just because of the way styles match up from our players and Snoot. And then on top of that, obviously, Poseidon and Scythe are both good players, but I feel like they're both very much within the realm of being beatable. So I think it's going to be tough taking out Snoot twice. I think that's going to be the real tough ask, but I think we have a good chance to at least show some good games. And I think we have a slight chance to win.
Could you predict the score?
If I had to put money on it, I'd say Norway 4-3. But
Match fixer. And that's why you don't put money on it, Penguin.
true. Very true.
That's honest. That's honest.
That's an honest question. Yeah. Well, an honest answer, I believe. So, can we talk about like the chances of Norway getting to like the same kind of results that they had in NationWars 1, NationWars 2? Like, do you believe that the team in itself right now in its states has the possibility to go as far as in NationWars 1 and 2?
Can you hear
Oh,
us?
you mean
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, this year I think that we are actually going to have a shot at advancing better than last year at least, because we practiced a lot towards this tournament, especially me and Sight, and Snoot usually delivers good results. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to hopefully make it to Paris this time.
So Poseidon, may I ask what's going on in the corner of your room? Have you been looking at those Twitter tweets from WSG?
Yeah, it's like a fireplace, and we ain't using it. So, but we just moved here after like 3 months ago, so it's still on reworking, like building it up.
I guess not using it is pretty like logical, safe.
Okay.
Like doesn't look really safe to use right now.
But it's a firewall, so it can handle the heat.
Oh.
It's just that white color isn't that smart on firewall.
Okay. Well, be careful.
So you said you've been practicing a lot. What kind of practice are we talking? Did you guys like discuss strategies together? Have you just been grinding the ladder? Like obviously we at home or even here at the desk, we're not that familiar with you and Saif. So talk to us. Like what has been happening behind the scenes?
Well, we have been focusing on practicing on barcodes and accounts that people doesn't see, and will not be able to get preparing to our styles. We are also been off stream, and we streamed a bit, but we haven't really showed our builds. And we also have done our research on Switzerland, just for me and the site, because we feel confident that Snoot will be our backup. But we're going to most likely do great games, me and Sight as well.
Maybe one last quick question, because we're obviously very familiar with Snoot, tournament champion. But what kind of level can we think of, like you and Saif? Like what's the MMR range? You know, you don't have to give an exact number, but what's the peak? What are the dreams? What do you feel like you're capable of?
Well, like Sight is like 5.9, can take games up to 6.2 KMR. Myself, I'm 6 KMR. As well, takes games of most people.
It's a very pleasant club to be part of, isn't it?
6K.
Had a practice session and I took a game of Snoot just recently, so I'm quite happy about that.
Okay. Okay, happy to hear. Well, sounds like we have an exciting game for us. Obviously, we had Penguin making a prediction, thinking that you guys are going to win. What is your prediction for this match?
Do you think Switzerland's going to take it?
4-1.
4-1.
Okay.
4-1 for Norway then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess the only thing that we need to know is who's going to start. We want to know. Poseidon, who's going to start for Norway?
That's going to be Sight.
All right.
Okay.
Side.
Penguin, who's going to be your first player?
Funk.
Oh,
I expected yourself.
Yeah, I kind of thought you said no. Penguin has something special planned already. Like he has a map in mind and a matchup in mind, and he's saving himself. All right, cool. Perhaps any final word towards each other before we can go ahead and start this match? Penguin, you can go first.
Good luck. Have fun.
Good luck.
Tell Snoot to be gentle.
Okay, so thank you guys. So we'll have Sight against Funk for the first game in this matchup against Norway and Switzerland. Okay. So what about you? What are your predictions?
I mean, obviously, I am predicting Norway, just like I think everybody will, because of Snoot. But it's always hard to predict the score, because you don't know who. Like, we have to predict the score before we truly know who starts. Saif against Funk, that's obviously a big game immediately for Switzerland. I feel that's a must-win game. If you lose Funk there, Funk probably the player that is most likely to somehow upset Snoot, if that is going to happen. So the first match is going to be a very big one for Switzerland. And I kind of feel that if Norway would end up losing the first match, they are very likely to send Snoot out, because you don't really want to put Snoot out when they're potentially down 0-2, even though I'm not sure if that would happen, because Poseidon can obviously beat Funk.
Yeah.
But I think a solid 4-1 prediction is, I believe, what I have predicted for Norway. Excuse me, yeah, for Norway.
For Norway.
Yeah. I mean, all these countries, the cold countries, lots of snow in both of them. I get them confused, but I'm feeling a 4-1 for Norway.
And yeah, the chat actually agrees with you with 81% in favor of Norway, and I went for 4-2.
That's the Snoot fan club's voting right there.
Yeah, for sure. So 4-1 for you, 4-1 Zombie Grub, and 4-2 for me. I think it's going to be a little bit closer.
I like what Jess is doing, though. He like listens in on my prediction, and he's like, you know, obviously Roddy is going somewhere with that first spot-on prediction. I'm just going to copy him from here on out. Smart, good strategy by Jessica. I'm impressed.
Did you get the actual prediction on the first one?
I had 4-2.
Yeah, 4-2.
Damn.
You got it right.
I had 4-3. Kind of close, but yeah, I think this match should look like a clear Norwegian victory. But the question is, like, can Funk, can either Elroy or somebody just bring something to the table and just make it a little bit more difficult for Norway?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's StarCraft. Crazy things can happen. You are still playing a best of one. Of course, Snoot could potentially have 2 chances to truly save the day. But I'm mostly excited to see how some of the other players go up against each other. I think it's cool to hear about the MMR ranges as well. I think that makes them quite close towards at least the rest of the lineup from France. Not France, Switzerland. As I think Funk obviously stands above that a tiny bit. But I think we're looking at some very fun, close, competitive matches with, in the end, Captain Norway Snoot saving the day.
Yeah, that would make sense, and actually he did that in the past. I remember in NationWars 2 when Norway was really back on the wall and they were like not doing good at all, and then suddenly just you revive Snoot, and then of course magic can happen when Snoot is playing. So that's a hard task ahead of Switzerland to me.
Okay, so we're ready to launch the first game in this match. Scythe against Funk, and it's gonna be
on.
It's going to be Blackpink. All right. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable map to start this best of 7 on.
I actually think this is one of the better Terran maps out there against Protoss, right? I feel a lot of the 2-base pushes are very strong. I think your drops arrive very early on in that crucial early mid-game phase of the game. Protoss does still have a 61% win record against Terran, but I think that has perhaps more to do with the overall state of this map or matchup rather than this map. Where do you know where the stats are being pulled from, Funka?
Wikipedia.
Okay, so it's like all the games.
Yes. Most of the competitive games that I've been playing on Legacy.
All right. Well, I think on this level, we'll see. I think this is an acceptable map for Terran. I think a lot of Terrans don't mind going up against Protoss on this one. Well, we'll see. Curious to see what this show brings.
But the thing is, like, I don't really know anything about the style that our Terran player would bring to the table. Like, I know what I expect from Funk, but I don't really know how we'll see the Terran develop, and like, is he going to be aggressive? And as you mentioned, I think that's a pretty good map to be aggressive on. Does he do those kind of 2-base pushes? Does he go for like late game oriented matches, which is kind of crazy to think about in PvT, but
I think like ultimate late game, Terran is actually pretty strong against Protoss, but it's just hard for them to get there. It's that early mid game where Terran is almost on the clock. They need to do damage. If you don't do damage, Protoss gets double forge, blink, charge, upgrades, runs away with the game. So it's the early mid game. But if you can somehow buy enough time as a Terran to get 4 bases, maybe even 5 bases up and running, then this matchup suddenly changes again. And that's why PvT is kind of in a fun state right now.
Yeah, you need to be able to lock down the map like quite hard if you want to play that really late game oriented game style, play style as Terran. But it's kind of tough to do, because I feel like getting towards that 4th base when you're on 3 base, but it's kind of tough to go and take that 4th base expansion, because Protoss can just move around from left to right. Maybe you have to have a sensor tower or something to feel comfortable, but it's still hard. Like, you can pressure almost everywhere. So I feel like early mid game maybe Terran has an advantage, and then right after that, then Protoss is in a good state, and then suddenly, like, can you finish the game right away, or will it go extra late game? Looks possibilities that we could see.
Okay, so I think we're ready for the game.
All right.
Are you excited?
Well, of course we are. Of course we are. Talking about a map, for a couple of minutes is not the best thing that I like.
But Blackpink, do you know it's a K-pop group name?
I do know that, yes.
Wait, is it from here?
I listened to a song once, and after 12 seconds, I turned it off. That noise.
Really?
You didn't like it?
No, of course I didn't like it.
We need to go
Are you a K-pop fan?
to 노래방 together. Let's do a karaoke.
It sounds like a wonderful time, Hajin. If we can sing Wherever You Will Go by The Calling, I'm in. If we're going to go K-pop, I'm absolutely out.
A man that knows what he wants.
Here we go for this first game in the second series of the day.
Oh, and I see something that's not in the right position right now, so we'll introduce those players as fast as we can. In the top right, in the red trunks, representing Switzerland, it is Funk.
And on the left bottom side, we're looking at the main base of our Terran player representing Norway. It is Scythe.
Where is your building?
You know what's a fun fact about Switzerland?
Oh, tell me.
That they have a square flag. It's one of the only 2 nations in the world that has a square flag.
You make us look bad right now because we've got a rectangle flag right now. So that's the thing, right?
Good scout, of course, here by Funk in the main base. Spots A, no barracks. B, spots lots of refineries. Knows something weird was up. Decided not to expand just yet because, obviously knows that first Reaper is going to show up very early. I like that he keeps the SCV there. The SCV is important to make things annoying. There was no Zealot to buy time. Now, Zealot's obviously not as fast as Reapers. But sometimes, he's doing the Maru thing, actually, where he's going to block that natural as well with the barracks. Maru did this against Showtime. Let's see if this Reaper can get some damage done. I think 2 probes is almost like there is a Zealot. But I think you want to get at least 2 workers to make this somehow worth it.
I should be able to take it. Oh, yeah. The second probe just comes out of the assimilator. Nice targeting by Scythe. We'll get 2 probes for his early proxy Reaper, but he's not going to push his luck that much. Not a single unit is being built from that barracks, and we transition into factory and starport play back at the opposite side of the map with a good old Cyclone, you know.
They just added the flag, you see that?
Good job, adorable. Production. Good job.
That's adorable.
Nice one, guys.
This barracks is going to take quite a bit of damage. Now, even though the Reaper got 2 probes, it did go down, and that's not really what you want this early on. It's a lot nicer to keep it alive. Obviously, floating this barracks away would be pointless, because the Stalkers will just chase it down. They'll still get the kill eventually. Maybe wants to get a final scout off, but he won't be able to see anything with it. So, the Nexus is late. But he's getting a Robo as a follow-up. Now, obviously, with the Robo, you shouldn't take much damage from these Cyclones. What I would have kind of liked, though, is he's getting a Warp Prism already.
That's interesting.
Maybe some 3-gateway aggression, or maybe just some juggling around with the units, trying to get some maximum damage done. I actually would have liked to see a Stargate here, because I feel then it's a lot easier to get vision in your opponent's main base. And I also think that Phoenixes are absolutely king in low eco games, because they're guaranteed to do some damage. And if your opponent has a very late command center as well, Phoenix economic damage actually really, really hurts.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, like, in general, just target. Ooh, you need to microdose. Cyclone deal damage, like, super, super fast. And that Zealots should eventually die, but the Prism will be here.
Yeah.
Okay, the Prism will be here, but we also have a Medivac back on the side of Scythe, so he'll be able... Does he want to go for the Prism? I don't know if you've seen it. But yeah, I agree with you. Stargate in general just seems like a Swiss Army knife, actually, to defend a lot of early game aggression from Terran. But he went for the robotics facility, as you said, Prism to help with the micro in general, and Immortal, who will do really, really good against those Cyclones early.
Sentry taking quite a bit of damage. Meanwhile, these Cyclones being annoying, getting a little bit of economic damage on. Medivac takes a lot of damage, though.
He will take it out.
Yeah, the Prism is going to try to get these Stalkers in range of the Medivac.
It's going to be so close, but he should take it in the end, losing a Stalker for his troubles, but at the same time, gets the Medivac, gets the first Cyclone, and should get the other one afterwards. So I guess that's a really good opening for Funk on this one, not losing that much and getting those units that are really expensive. Nice sets of force field to avoid the Cyclone, just losing a little bit of time, because he would have killed it anyways.
I do like the Liberator follow-up, because a couple of the Stalkers have been picked off. There aren't that many gateway units here. There isn't really a lot of anti-air. The only anti-air that currently is a Stalker on the other side of the map. So this Liberator for Scythe is actually perfect and should really be able to do quite a bit of economic damage here with only a single gate. Do you know how long it's going to take to force a Liberator to go away? He can actually seize this on top of the mineral line.
Yeah, he could have been more aggressive with the positioning of his Liberator, and I don't know if he used his last warp in, but for now that Liberator is doing whatever he wants. But at the opposite side of the map, an Immortal, Stalker and Zealot with a Prism is super scary for the Terran player, who has to pull workers right away. But the Cyclone will target down the Prism. Can he get it no, he won't. But that's 4 SCVs down, but the Prism has to go away.
Oh,
nice
wow.
positioning.
That actually makes it super nice because the one gate. This actually was brilliant, guys. I stand corrected. It is so smart that he put his Liberator here, because with only one gateway at a time, you can't really run into that circle. He finally finds the right angle to engage his Liberator, but a lot of economic damage has been dealt, and I'm kind of feeling this position of Scythe right now, man. With Stim halfway done, all this direct and indirect economic damage.
Yep.
No additional tech for Funk, no Twilight Console yet, doesn't have a Robo Bay. This is actually really good for Scythe, damn.
It is really good. But at the same time, I think the third Nexus just finished on the side of Funk, so he will be able to propel himself in terms of economy. He actually floats 600 gas. He needs to spend it at some point. We'll go for a second Immortal and try to deal some damage at the opposite side of the map, getting some Marines for free. But he has to pull back. I agree with you. Scythe has a brilliant advantage in this game with the Stim pack finishing in a couple of seconds.
Just now, the Twilight Console and the Forge have been wiped in. He's going to spend a little bit of that gas on a couple of sentries, but sentries are not super good against tanks, and I believe we at least have 2 tanks out, right? Yes, he has 1. No, 3 tanks even. Alrighty, I mean, obviously that Prism is going to be key for Funk to buy time, maybe pick up some units, but it's taking a lot of damage. Stim is done as well. Can this Prism live? It seems like, no, I actually think it's true. Oh my goodness, the Prism goes down.
Alright.
And Scythe puts himself in a magnificent position to perhaps open up the score here for Norway.
Yeah, that looks really good for our Norwegian Terran right there. He was going to unsiege his tanks and go on the opposite side. I don't know if he knows about the third base, but I don't think he really cares. He wants to hit where
I think he's almost hoping that there is one, because that means that there is less units, right? Now, force fields could be a game changer. This is good by Funk. He moves out, but the single Marine is going forward. The single Marine is going to spot this army, and that should at least make sure that Scythe doesn't end up losing all his Marines and tanks here.
Nice scan. He takes out the Observer, so Funk will not have as much as information as he would like, but he's got a second one. Is he going to split it from the army? I don't really know yet. Medivac will get boosted to get the vision on top of the ramp.
Going up here is risky, though.
The positioning of Funk is really key in this one.
If he would have been standing at home, he would have been dead at this point.
Exactly.
Really good use of the Immortals and Sentries that will not necessarily win in a straight-up fight, but obviously with a couple of good force fields, I mean, you can turn tide really fast.
Okay, third Observer. He's actually going to scan it again, and now those 2 tanks are in range of the Sentries. 3 of them will go down instantly, and that's really good for Scythe, who needs to go further, and he needs to push as fast as he can.
He needs to start pushing his luck for real. His army is so strong. I mean, yes, 4 Immortals are scary. All he needs is maybe a few more Marines, because those Marines with Medivacs, do we have some extra Medivacs? No, it's going to be a Liberator instead.
Yeah.
So he needs to make sure he keeps his Medivacs alive, but these tanks are already getting some very juicy shots off. I feel like he needs a few more Marines, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, the number of Marines seems a little bit low, but other than that, like, those tanks are going to be in a really great position. He will stim those Marines. That Immortal will get microed back so it doesn't fall right away. But there's 2 more Liberators who will cross the map, and now those tanks are starting to pressure that third base, and now they're going to shell away to that Protoss army. Lots of Marines getting rallied up, and it's looking good for Scythe, but Funk was able to gain as much time as he could. +1 attack, and Charge is done now.
Yeah, Charge is done, but he doesn't really have Zealots, so it's not super useful. The first Colossus is almost out. What's happening with that? Okay, now it's finally out, but I mean, there's going to be a Liberator, 2 Liberators even, multiple tanks. That Nexus goes down super fast. These Marines are going very far ahead of the rest of the pack. And Scythe has done a beautiful job so far in executing this push. I actually really like the way he was sieging and unsieging his tanks, setting up his attack. A couple of Zealots are going to run straight into the death. Now or never for Funk.
Okay, he's going to try to break down the contain as fast as he can. The tanks will fall down instantly, but those Liberators, they are killing everything on the north side. Immortals and Colossi taking so much damage. Still some Marines leaving to tell the tale and actually get another Stalker. And for now, 14 probes going down and an army supply that's not looking that good for Funk.
I actually don't like it that Scythe is going back now. Keep up the pressure, mate. You're doing great. You can actually trade now. You've done a lot of economic damage. You've got a third base going up on the other side of the map. There is no need for Scythe to turn around here, especially after picking up that 1 Colossus. Of course, you know, going back home is not the worst decision in the world, but as long as his Liberators are sieged up, Protoss is never going to engage into your circles.
Yeah, for sure. So he's gonna adopt a rather defensive position, considering he took down the third Nexus of the Protoss while getting his own third base. It's gonna be finished in a couple of seconds, adding some more Liberators, more tanks. So that means he's using a lot of gas right now. So he's not gonna be able to get that many late game upgrades, but at the same time, his army is gonna be super hard to fight into.
Now there is another Colossus out since Funk got a little bit of time. He's going to try to run around these Liberators as well. That's why I really like the Liberators on the other side of the map, because you can kind of push the Protoss into their natural, and then it's very, very awkward for them to even ever break out. Liberators and tanks still doing a lot of damage here though, and of course so many things still going Scythe his way. But I think that Funk is already happy that he can still breathe at this point.
Yeah, of course.
And that he's actually alive.
Yeah, he's got a shot of playing a game that looked over a couple of minutes ago. So, yes, he's pushing his luck by going through to the opposite side of the map and trying to deal some damage, but he's not really engaging into the army at the same time. He dropped down another Nexus, so he might be able to play this game the long way. He's going to try to go on the left side because there's no Liberator sieging up.
Doesn't get that second tank, so quite painful. Eats a lot of big shots in the end. Still running around trying to avoid these Liberators. Scythe scans that army, probably looks at it and is wondering like, you know, yeah, 2 Colossus are scary for my Marines, but if this is all you have, I actually think I have enough units to start dropping a little bit, and this drop can already be devastating because Funk simply doesn't have the army to deal with drops at this point. He lost his observers, has no idea that this is coming. He is getting blinked. The only thing I think he could possibly do is recall.
Recall, yeah.
But I actually think that he's probably going to panic, attack, all in, try to win the game.
That's smart from Scythe. Like, he doesn't even go to the main base. I think he's going to go directly to the natural.
Now he's going to use his warpins, I think, in the main base as well.
Oh, that's terrible for Funk. He will have to recall if he doesn't want to lose his space. For now, the Marines and Marauders are wrecking the economy on the third base. 10 probes already dropped and dead right now, and 19 probes in total. At the same time, 12 SCVs are dying, and no recall from Funk. I don't know if he's got the energy on the Nexus,
I mean,
but he
that
will
Nexus
probably
is
go
dead,
down.
right? Yeah, that Nexus is ultra dead. He could have, I think, recalled before, but he decided not to do it. He did some damage, and now I think that Funk knows as well. Against the orbitals, losing that many probes, he does kill the starport, which is nice. One of them. There's another one there as well. The Viking's going to work on the Prism. Funk needs to break Scythe. I think he knows it as well. He's really on the clock. But this position seems unbreakable.
Oh yeah, he needs to go from another angle. With Liberators and tanks, there is no way that he does anything valuable except from just giving away his army. He's actually going to get chased down because there's not that many units on the ground. Nice flank from the south side from Scythe, who's trying to do everything he can. Nice sets of force fields. But at the same time, he loses everything, and the Liberators will siege and spread the democracy right on top of the Protoss army.
Oh, he's recalling. He's going to lose at least a couple of sentries. Ends up losing 2, maybe even 3. Those force fields were very cute. Would have been nice if he renewed them one more time.
Yeah.
But in the end, this Protoss army is just not strong enough anymore. Like, he doesn't have the upgrades that you normally expect. Is that 1-2 upgrades for the Terran? Am I seeing this correct?
No, it's 1-1.
Sorry. Looked a little blue on my TV, guys. That Colossus is going to get picked up as well, but I think there is simply a little too much Terran here. I mean, the Liberator actually falls.
Yeah.
And these Immortals and Archons are actually doing super good. Scythe, where's the rest of your army?
That was a really bad fight from Scythe. He went onto this fight like thinking that he would just end the game, but he didn't micro it properly.
So did I, Funka.
The tanks didn't get sieged. The Liberators weren't in position, and all that bio was just harmed from the previous stims. Those medivacs didn't have energy, and now Funk wants to kill. He wants to. Well, at least deal some damage back at the opposite side of the map. Drops down another Nexus. He wants to go further again.
It's so bizarre. You're looking at these fights and it almost feels like Protoss is doing good in this game. And then you look at everything else that matters. It's like Protoss is down 9 workers. Protoss is down in army supply. Protoss is even in upgrades. Like, none of this is going good for Funk. But for some reason, the fights look awfully close.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy when you think about it that this game is still going on. 15-minute mark right there. Now the blink is done, so you will be able to save those 2 stalkers, Funk that is. But still, problem is the economy on this game. 4th base is getting dropped down by Scythe. It should transform it into a planetary. No, it will go for an orbital.
Oh, that's greedy, actually.
That's kind of greedy considering how good he is in this game, how well he is. But at the same time, Funk is just going to go for... Yes, I don't have that much economy, but I'll just try to build nothing but super high value units like Storm, like Templars with Storm and Colossi. +2 armor might make a difference because, as I mentioned earlier, there's not that many upgrades going out on the side of Terran because of all the gas he's using for Liberators and tanks at the same time. He might be able to take down that small army.
Yeah, I mean, Scythe is actually misrallying quite a few units.
Yep.
He's losing a couple.
Oh my God.
Now Funk is going for the run-bys as well. And Funk is slowly but steady, really crawling his way back into this game. Still down economically, but with the way that these fights have been going, and now Storm finishing up as well.
Prism to the main.
I'm actually starting to kind of believe that Funk has perhaps what it takes to turn this game around.
Well, actually, he's fighting super hard considering he was down and out 5 minutes ago. But still, the overall supply will totally favor favor Scythe in general with 145 to the 99 of Funk. But he's making so much stuff happen with just random zealots.
I feel like I'm watching a game where the Protoss is picking the Terran apart, but he's actually still losing really hard. This Terran army is starting to become ridiculously big, almost doubling the army supply of Funk. But Stormy boys,
You believe in Storm.
so yeah, the Stormy boys are pretty good.
What happens is if those 40 Marines just die instantly into the storms. Like if Scythe takes a fight as poor as the one he did before towards the third base of Funk, then suddenly we could look at a different game. He's going to set himself up on top of the ramp, and that's a nice scan for Scythe. It's so important.
I'm actually really afraid to make a prediction now because I have no idea how these players are going to execute this fight. But it definitely seems that Funk is making a lot of things happen while working with very, very little.
Very little.
But the Liberators, they are getting sieged up, and this means that this is always going to be very tough for Funk to hold because eventually he's going to have to commit into the circles, and those circles spell disaster.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, once again, some SCVs dying. So if Scythe is not looking at the right angle at the right moment, he could get his entire army stormed. Those Liberators are awfully close from each other, so Storm could actually do pretty well against those as well. But Liberators just leapfrogging slowly towards that third base. Some Zealots, some more Zealots are going to try to run by, but he's slowly but steadily losing workers and losing just room to maneuver around.
Yeah, I almost feel like he should give up this base, transfer all the probes towards his fort, and then try to backstab his army. I think Funk, if he really wants to keep his dreams alive, he needs to clean up this army. Scythe had enough of Zealots running into his third base, so he's going to use Liberators to defend. I'd say give up this base, transfer the probes, and try to swing around and backstab the Liberators. If you don't clean up that army, I don't think you'll ever win. Running into the circles, you won't win. So you got to circle around, give up, try to save at least your probes. This Nexus is going to die. There's really nothing you can do about it.
Is he gonna fight right into the Liberation Circle? Oh, the Stalker is going to the wrong way of the Nexus and taking some juicy shots in the face, losing some more HP. He's gonna try for it. That's the last 10 of Funk. And Switzerland in this first game. Let's see the Storms. Storm will connect with the Liberators. That second one is massive. Can he really do it? No, the Liberators are bursting everything, and there is not that many anti-air units remaining, only 3 Stalkers.
Running it. God. I cannot believe that I looked at a slightly close fight while he ran into like 5 circles. Funk, what are your units made of, man? It feels like I'm watching titanium Protoss units that just don't die. But at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. Scythe is still in a magnificent position. I cannot believe I just watched the Protoss army run into 6 Liberators that were set up, and somehow they traded. Like, Funka, hold my hand. What am I watching?
It's a crazy game indeed, my good Roddy. As you said, we're always lucky with the games here at NationWars, and it's keeping on going this for this match between Switzerland and Norway. Even though Scythe is looking like he will be able to seal the deal, but it takes so much time.
I feel like Funk.
Can't believe 20 minutes, man.
I feel like Funk, whenever he looks at Liberator circles, what he sees is the forward stim. One Colossus goes down, the second one goes down as well. Good move there by Scythe, distracting Funk a little bit with those Marines, and then at the same time he dove on top of these Colossus, and that's really the only power units that Funk had left. He has one Immortal in the mix there, but other than that, it's a very sad Protoss army.
Yeah, and no Storms available. He's going to try his luck one more time in the Liberation Circle, but this time, those Protoss units look like actual Protoss units, which means that they are dying in the Liberator Circle, but the Zealots are smashing everything. Go back to the circles. Go back to the safety of the circle side, and that should be it. GG! Side takes game 1, and Norway leads this best of 7, 1-0.
What a game, Funka.
Yep.
I cannot really believe what I just watched. I think like the early game it looked alright for Funk, but I was like, I really would prefer a Stargate here. I feel the only thing you then have to worry about is a Cloak Banshee follow-up after the factory. But Stargate is always going to be good against the super late command center. And then the madness starts, and then you see this one Liberator really smartly positioned, because there was only one gate, so it takes forever to wipe in the Stalkers. And after that, you know that meme of like what I see and what they see? I feel like what I see is a circle that spells doom, and what Funk sees is a healing fountain or something. He just like, he runs into it, he showers a little bit. It's like, what the hell? Why is these Protoss units not dying? Yeah, that was a really funny game.
That was crazy. He took like so many good engagements in this one. That was quite impressive. But Sight, in the end, takes the game against Funk, and I wouldn't have said that earlier before the game started. I would have said that Funk should win this game.
I agree with you. I think that's an upset. I think the one thing we can absolutely compliment Siphon is his worker production, because he was dropping SCVs quite a bit non-stop, but he was expanding quickly and always rebuilding and maintaining that worker lead that he had, and I honestly believe that's why he was able to close out this game.
Really taking his time, because like in mid-game he was ahead in army supply, but instead of keeping harassing, he just moved back and he was defending, but he has a lot of Liberators and tanks. But what can Protoss do against this kind of build? Like,
I mean, it's
6 Liberators, 6 tanks.
It's all momentum based. And you shouldn't forget that this game is a unique game, because it starts off with this weird proxy with the delayed Nexus, as we're taking a look at some of the highlights of the previous game. But it's all about preventing from finding yourself in that position. And normally you won't find yourself in a position where, like, what happened in this fight, Funka? Why did these Protoss units not die? He's walking into 6 Liberators, and he's somehow winning the fight. Like, this is unreal.
Immortals, they're Immortals.
Yeah, Immortals are good unit indeed, but it was still quite impressive, but the storms landed perfectly on most of the bio, and then suddenly you've got like red health, orange health bio.
But it's 6 Liberators, Funka.
I know.
I actually closed my eyes, and I didn't want to see what happened, and then I opened it, and I see there is still a Protoss army. Like, that's so stupid. It's not supposed to happen.
That's kind of crazy. I mean, it's interesting how this game turned out, because as you said, started with a proxy, then went into that 2-base timing push that's really strong. You expected it by looking at the map, and you expected the Terran to be able to pull off those kind of strategies. But what was smart, in my opinion, as you mentioned, from side, is that he went into late game anyways. He dropped down that 3rd CC and he pulled back. It was kind of scary, because at this moment, Funk was like, I'm still alive, I can make it happen. But in terms of the general game plan, it was smart from side to say, I'm ahead, I killed the 3rd base. Okay, Protoss late game is scary, but I'm still stronger.
I understand the fear of overcommitting and throwing away the lead, but if you look at the tech that the Protoss had, there was no Blink, there was no Stargate. If those Liberators siege up, let's say below the natural on the 3rd base, the Protoss pretty much always has to run in there to fight, and then it's always going to be very tough, as we're taking a look at the next player of Switzerland. And it's Elroy.
It's going to be Elroy, so we have 1-0 for Norway in this match, and the next player will be Elroy for Switzerland.
Yeah, it's going to be a Zerg player, so we'll see a different matchup out of sight. Can he pull off those same kind of strategies against, well, not strategies, but can he just perform at the same level that he did against Funk in the TVZ? That would be quite cool.
I think it's going to be a very close one on paper. It seems like our next map is going to be played on Neon Violet Square. I think these two are probably going to be very evenly matched. I like a lot of the things I saw out of Scythe, but at the same time, definitely some room for improvement as well. Elroy, like you said before, a little bit of a hit-or-miss player. Sometimes great, sometimes feels like he hasn't played in a while. It's going to be a close one. Should be a fun one, though.
Yeah, looks like a game that could go late. Once again, I don't really know about Scythe's game plan on in TVZ and game style in general. But that's a map that you could definitely just put planetary fortresses on and just
maybe he doesn't
build
like
some
them.
Ghosts and build some nukes and have some Liberators and just camp in general.
I mean, so this man, Funka, we're looking at a man who was ahead, and then in his 4th base, he made an orbital. Like,
what a greedy guy.
Yeah, I cannot believe it. It's like, you're up in bases, you're up in workers, and you're taking your 4th as an orbital?
You crazy guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go for the second game of this series. Elroy against Scythe.
Let's go! Norway versus Switzerland. It's the second game. And in the top left, representing Switzerland, is the red Zerg, Elroy.
And over here on the right bottom side, we're looking at the main base of our Norwegian Terran. He took the 1-0 lead for his nation. It's Scythe. I think they turned off your microphone, Hajin. I don't hear you.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Oh.
Once again.
You guys missed the sound effects.
Yeah.
You guys missed the sci-fi thing. You're done.
You're still mute.
Yeah.
I think they don't.
The
they don't
production
wanna hear
killed
it.
you.
That's well. They fixed the flag, so I guess we can't be too mad at them. But at the same time,
You want to have another fact about Switzerland?
oh yes, tell me.
On average, it has the most expensive coffee in the world. Average price for a coffee, $3.65. Take that.
You went online. And
Yeah, of course. I
Okay.
mean, why would I know that?
No,
The other
suddenly
facts-
I remember, you know,
Yeah.
about the coffee price in
No.
Switzerland.
The other about the first series, that was just freestyling. But I was like, I don't know. Like, what should I say about these countries? I mean, there's both a lot of snow in them, and apparently Norway is really good in cross-country skiing because they won the Olympics because they win all those medals. But other than that, I don't know much. I mean, it's been a while. I haven't been to Switzerland a lot, actually, in my life. I went to Norway once for a Warcraft tournament. It was
Oh, yeah?
really funny because they asked me to cast it. And I was like, this is one of the first tournaments I ever casted, like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll go cast. It was in the Viking ship in Hamar.
Really?
The land called the Gathering or something.
Oh
It's-
yeah. That's in Norway. Yeah. You're
So
right.
I went there and they're like, oh yeah, we'll offer you like I think it was 300 or 400 euro to cast the event. You know, like 3 days work. Little me is like, oh man, that's fantastic. You know, I would love 300 euros. So I go there. And then I see this tournament, and I was actually good in Warcraft, you know, back then. And I was like, oh, what's the first place anyway? And they're like, oh, first place is $1,800. And my jaw just dropped. I'm like, what? And I was like, who's coming?
Played it.
Yeah, and no one was there other than Targa. And like, you know, Targa was a really good StarCraft player, but in Warcraft 3 he wasn't that great. I was like, can I not cast and play? And they're like, if you can find another caster, and I go around asking everyone, like, hey guys, and those Norwegians are like, hell no, we don't want you in the tournament. I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe, you know, $1,800 in 2006 or 7. That's like 180K right now.
Oh
you know,
my
like,
god.
I was like, man, I can win so much money.
Oh,
Anyways,
that's so sad. That's so sad. Really.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that story.
no, that's just the cost of living in Norway, right? They casually host an $1,800 tournament. Anyways, let's focus on this TVZ.
Oh, that's good. He gets the creep tumor. That's one of the greatest feeling as a Terran player when you get that first, like that early first tumor. It makes you feel so good in general because, well, in general, it will just prevent that third base to be connected as fast. So if you go with Hellions afterwards and just in general, it's going to slow down the whole process because of how the way creep works in StarCraft 2. So getting that first tumor might just frustrate your opponents and makes you feel good at the same time. Great feeling for a Terran player. Getting some couple of Zerglings right there. You will probably confirm that the third base is here. There's not that many units. But
See the
Roach Warren.
Yeah, it's a Roach Warren. I love how he morphs. I mean, Cocoons are pretty tanky, but this Overlord should actually go down, right? He should be able to get a kill on this Cocoon. He's going to be quite close, but he's going to
regen.
That's solid. Man, that's a lot of work for really not much at all. He really hates larva. Look at this guy. Now he's like, he looks at it, he's like, I want to get that Cocoon too. But
you know, when you don't have a target, well, lava seems great. It seems great all of a sudden.
yeah.
Well, usually you want drones, you want Zerglings.
Feels
but,
like you're getting
lava
something done,
yeah,
right?
It's decent, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Ooh, 4 Overlords at once being produced here for Elroy, as he
Roddy.
already had some free supply. So I feel like he's making
Roddy.
more than just safety roaches.
Oh,
or
no.
am I crazy here, Funka?
Those are not safety roaches, Roddy. Those are mean, angry roaches that will cross the map and try to at least deal a lot of damage, maybe end the game, we'll see. But now this is important. Sight should scout as our observer,
Yep.
Mapu, the amazing one, who should just showed us he wants to see drones. He wants to see if there's drones or not. And Elroy is trying to sell a story where he transfers 3 drones, but that's the... You know, that's not enough. You should know if there's only 3 drones that you're getting all in. That for now, Sight doesn't see it coming.
That was so beautiful. You just sounded like a father who saw his son score in a football match. You know, he's like, look at this observer. He's like half as good as me. I'm so proud. As
He's got room to grow, you know.
All right, but of course, the most important thing is that Scythe didn't
Oh my
know. He
God.
still hasn't seen this onslaught of Zerg heading his way. Look at those links. They're all hugging this one roach. It was beautiful.
Deja vu.
A beautiful little butterfly. Now this Viking is going to spot it, but the Ravage is already morphing. Do we have a tank out yet?
I
No.
don't think there is. He's going to build some bunkers right away, but that's already quite late. And
Oh
that's
no,
the exact
the
same
depots
strategy.
raised.
The depots weren't raised, and so the roaches and Zerglings Zerglings will stream down the second base, and Sight has nothing. 19 army supply against the 54 of Elroy, who will try to end the game right there. Let's see those corrosive biles.
I mean, they're always going to be good, right? They either force the wall. I mean, that's a pretty decent hold so far with the SCVs, but so much. I mean, look at that tank. The tank is getting some amazing shots up on these roaches, but it still seems that normally, well, actually, Elroy is going to go back to droning. I mean, he has already done a tremendous amount of economic damage, but if this was Maru, and I know Scythe's not Maru, might be close, but not quite yet. If this is a Maru game, I actually believe that the Terran has what it takes to come back.
But
double eBay, Stim, Tech, Medevacs, like, yeah, you're down 34 workers, but like Maru against Solar was almost similar on this map, right? And Maru turned that around.
Well, the thing is, I'm a little bit skeptical or critical of what Elroy just did. At the end of the timing, he had 1,000 millirolls in the bank, and he wasn't really sure what to do with them. He decided to go back to droning, but if he made an extra set of Zerglings, I believe he should have been able to destroy those eBays. And killing the +1 attack and +1 armor would have made a tremendous difference, because that next timing from Scythe is going to be tough to hold for Elroy.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Scythe obviously try to get some damage done, but he was supply blocked for a bit. He only has a single medevac. There's 2 more medevacs coming. It would be fantastic for the Norwegian Terran if he can somehow find an opening in the defenses of Elroy and start doing some economic damage. Because, yes, triple orbit. Oh man, that supply block has been going on for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's going to finish right there. But yeah, that was a long supply block, and I don't think he dropped a depot from the sky, which would have helped him, but probably didn't have the energy. In the midst of all this, he forgot about his armories, which means that his 2-2 timing is still going to be quite decent, but it could have been better.
But I feel like to set yourself up for such a timing, you need to start doing some damage with medevacs and marines.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
The moment that Stim is done, you want to be in the Zerg's main, you know? That's like that Maru magic. That's how he makes those comebacks happen. And I feel like a lot of time has passed, and then that little bit of economic hope you had because of triple orbital, I feel like it's dwindling away. Like, yes, triple orbital is fantastic and good, but you can't just let Zerg get 65 drones and not apply pressure.
Yeah, no, for sure. He needs to take care of this creep. Forgot about the combat shield. Now 2-2 is going to start, but as you said, those 16 Marines should have been on the opposite side of the map right away when Stim finished and +1/+1 finished as well. So, kind of a missed opportunity, and of course an Elroy, a Zerg player in general, that can do whatever he wants in terms of economy on his side of the map, spread creep. Well, that's a happy Zerg, that, Roddy.
He's suddenly looking very, very good in this match, that's for sure. I actually wouldn't even have minded to see a Spire in this game, just to make sure you don't have to deal with annoying medevacs that are hovering around your main base. But it seems like Elroy was a lot more worried about the straight-on fight. But I kind of like everything for Elroy now. He's got his 1-1 upgrades as well. Scythe does have an army. He does, of course, have those upgrades going now as well. He's pushing the creep back a tiny bit. Elroy looks at it and is like, so, you know, what about the drop in my main? Like, aren't you supposed to drop? Tries to make something happen with Banelings, but good reaction there by Scythe, already having units in position. That's well done. I mean, Scythe is still in this match, but that Hive is already halfway done.
That's the thing, Roddy. As you said, like, by not attacking right away, he let Elroy get everything he needed. Creep, drones, a pretty high number of hatcheries in general. I think he's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now with that macro hatch right there, that hive tech that's coming in. So Scythe will have that 2-2 timing that will be quite impressive. He might get the cancel in this space. He will get it. But in general, as you said, is on the clock right there. He's fighting against a Zerg that will have probably Ultralisk coming in, or even just the Adrenal Glands for the Zerglings, making them cracklings, which are a nightmare to deal with. So just in general, the timing from Scythe will be there, but I don't think he can push the game further away. Like, he needs to win and needs to win now.
I wouldn't have minded the way that Scythe was playing if Elroy wasn't going Hive, right? If Elroy is being stuck on his Ling Bane Ravager, or even like start getting a bunch of Mutas, then I'm absolutely okay with everything that Scythe has been doing, and then he's just saving units. But you're going up against Ultras soon, matey. You're very Marine heavy. You need to start getting, I mean, I would say either Ghost Liberator or you need it to end the game. As Elroy is going to go for a big bailing run by, blows up the bunker, gets close to the SCVs, and a few more Marines there, or excuse me, Zerglings behind it as well, decides not to commit, because instead Elroy knows that he's in a position to potentially do a lot more. How Zergling heavy is he? How many Lings are we looking at, guys?
141, Roddy. That's a lot of Zergling. That's the swarmy feel of the Zerg race right there. Some Banelings are going to go and and crash on the wall. Okay, they will burn out, and I'm not entirely sure about this fight. Did Admiral Glenn finish? I don't know.
Yes.
But that's a lot of Marines at the same time that will try to hold the front. Nice targeting on the Baneling. And that's a lot of units for free on the side of Elroy.
I mean, Elroy does have 2,000 minerals. He is going for some economic damage on the north side. That's very good. Those Banes will get the connections that he was looking for. Finally gets the damage, but I mean, was it worth 127 Zerglings?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Totally sure, but at the same time, he's getting Ultras behind this as well, and he just spent this bank, so I'm okay with it, Fonka.
Yeah, it's okay. It looked a little bit scrappy, but I mean, in the long story, like the big picture of this game, it's still really, really good for Elroy, as you mentioned, because those 4 Ultralisks will hatch in a couple of seconds. He's got chitinous plating coming in. A lot of Zerglings have been replaced. He lacks a little bit of Banelings, but he's got everything he needs. And he's actually gonna cross the map once again, feed some more Zerglings.
Yeah, I love it. He's like, I need more Ultras. Like, you know, you took quite a few of my links, but I've got a few more. And these Ultras are like, you guys should really wait for us, by the way. We can do the heavy lifting. We can actually start tanking. I do like the way that Elroy played this out. Overall, of course, he did a phenomenal job early game in hiding his attack. That's the real story of this game. I feel like everything that has happened in the last 5 minutes has been a bonus, a cherry on the cake, so to speak. But obviously it all came down to that Fierceling Roach Ravager attack. And he was in a good position, but there was a little bit of potential. And since that moment, he's been throwing around a lot of units, but it's so...
Was he dancing with the Banelings? GG, well played. He's not going to even take the fight as he loses most of his economy and sees the Ultralisk sides types out, sorry, and we have a tight game.
He did it both, actually. He tapped out and he typed out. Yeah, that's the power of GG, guys. You can like do some multi-prong tapping.
No, good showing from Elroy. And I expected him to do fairly well, and the strategy he chose, and especially the way
he hit it, right? I think that's the entire story of this game. He went for a very cheeky early game attack, did a good job in hiding it, and Scythe just saw it too late. I must say, good job by Scythe not dying against it, because it's very easy to panic, especially when the depot, I said like, oh, he raised the depot, obviously he lowered the depot, so that made it even easier for the Zerg to come in. Still held, but then at that moment, it's like, okay, Terran, you have comeback potential with your 3 orbitals, but it's pedal to the metal.
Exactly.
You gotta go right here, right now, and you can't just sit back, because then the Zerg economy is like, whoop, skyrocketing.
Exactly.
There were so many Zerglings in this game, like 140 Zerglings coming to your base. That's scary.
That's the early game attack, as you can see, and he's actually going to defend pretty well because Stim is Stim is finishing right there, and those SCVs making like a natural wall for those Marines to just take down most of the Zerglings. Getting some, winning time for the tank to come out and sieging on the ramp. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's going to kill so many roaches on this one. But as you mentioned, and I think most of the problem was the supply block that followed.
Yeah, the 61 out of 61, that lasted a little too long. This was that one attack that was slightly questionable, but Elroy was setting up some multi-prong as well. He was able to do some economic damage. And I think that Elroy just kind of knew he had this game in the bag. He wanted to give us some explosions, some blood, some Zerglings going down left, right, and center. And of course, he had a big bang, so he was freeing up some supply for the Ultras as well. It was all fun and games for Elroy from that point on.
Well, all in all, I think like a pretty well-handled game. I think Scythe, well, kudos to him for not dying. And then being super, well, in general, just being, just handling pretty well all the Zerglings attack and microing his Marines perfectly. But it was just so far behind after that original attack.
Yeah, so it was really hard to defend after all these economics get down by all the Zerglings, and Elroy keeping harassing Scythe. So next player, so we're gonna know soon who's gonna play. So is Snoot going to come for our ZVZ or Poseidon?
Well, I actually probably think that Poseidon might come out there. I think that he feels pretty good. I mean, he had an interview. He seemed like a really cool, relaxed guy, and I think that he's actually ready to give us a show. And I don't think Snoot would be okay with that. So yeah, I'm feeling Poseidon here.
Yeah, I would go with you on this one. I do expect.
I'm
Poseidon.
bad at these predictions though. I always miss. See, like I'm good at predicting the score.
The original prediction, I should follow you, but on the next player, I should never do this.
No, I don't know. Like the player prediction, I always seem to be wrong. But.
Okay, so
Snoot is gonna play next game for Norway. So it's gonna be a ZVZ. Snoot is going to choose the map. Do you have any idea, maybe prediction?
ZVZ is tough, but Jens probably feels very solid. So I would probably say that he goes for either a standard map like Catalyst.
Yeah.
I think that's a very obvious pick. Or maybe a slightly larger one, because then he feels that he has more room to outplay his opponent. Like even an Eastwatch pick wouldn't be super weird if he just feels that, you know, I'm Snoot, I should be the more solid and stronger player overall.
Yeah.
And the longer the map, the more potential to outplay your opponent. But Catalyst is also so straightforward that maybe he feels very good there.
That's the map I'm expecting, like, because you don't want to take away like some potential good maps for Poseidon afterwards as well. So you're like, well, you don't expect to lose when you're Snoot also.
No.
But at the same time, yeah, I expect something like along the lines of Catalyst, like super
So-
standard map.
We'll discover which map is going to be played just after a short break. Welcome back. This is NationWars 5, and you're already playing the second series of the day. And we're in a tie 1-1 between Norway and Switzerland. And I'm here joined by Zombie Grub and Funka.
What's up, Zombie?
You know, nothing
Yeah?
much. Just
Yeah.
casting a little bit of StarCraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with you?
Do you like that?
I usually.
It's cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool job.
Yeah.
Thank
Have you checked the
Yeah.
tweet, like at hashtag NW5? Because you can still tweet, and we enjoy watching your tweets. So keep tweeting out at us.
Yeah,
So
of
have you
course.
seen any fun tweets?
I have. I think there was a good meme, actually, for the last.
Couple of them.
Yeah, a couple of them. I think I saw one or two.
Yeah.
I think it can be pretty funny. But actually, we had some pretty fun games.
Yes.
Along with those fun tweets. I
And-
was surprised.
I think we might see the biggest upset right now.
Really?
I expect Elroy to beat Snoot.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, because you can still keep voting. Look, check out the votes now.
You
It
should- you
was
should vote for
81%, and now we have 76 for Norway.
Hey. See?
So maybe we're gonna have our first upset of the day.
I don't know if they're going to win the match in general, but
Okay.
I do see Elroy being able, on a best of one, to outplay Snoot.
Why?
Because Elroy has always been a ZVZ expert. Back when he was in Korea, he said that it was his best matchup and that he was able to take games off like big names. And that's the reason that, I have faith. Well, he will have to play a little bit better than what he did in the previous game, even though he won quite easily. But in the ZVZ matchup, I can see him outdo Snoot.
It's really hard for me to judge ZVZs of European Zergs because they're all supposed to be really good at ZVZ because
course.
that's all they are.
Yeah.
So, when everyone says he's good at ZVZ and he was in Korea, I'm like, sure, because there's 8 Zergs in Korea. Of course, there's a lot more, but that's kind of the running joke and a bit of the truth is that there's so many good ZVZs in Europe.
Penguin, who says that Elroy is the first Swiss player to actually win a game in NationWars. Because
That's
as you
amazing.
see on the team profile, they're all 0-2.
Yeah.
Like every time they fell in the qualifier and they also get all killed. So Elroy just broke a record in a way.
Well, it was really nice of Norway to let them do that.
Well, that one is quite hard to rate. Oh.
Okay, let's go see Penguin.
We'll
have to see him play at some points.
I'm pretty sure that he will. Probably the next game.
No, after that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know,
after
man.
that. Yeah, I can tell you. Loving the action so far. Let's go. Norway, don't let your memes be dreams on StarCraft streams. That's so beautiful.
That's poetic.
And it's a
Yeah,
Nakon
it's a
that tells
Beautiful
us that.
poem.
Yeah, good job. Keep on coming, guys.
Yeah.
Hashtag NationWars5 and W5.
Mm-hmm.
So next game, Elroy Snoot ZVZ. So Snoot is gonna choose a map.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's CVZ. It's a mirror matchup, so
Yeah,
it's a
what does it
ZVZ.
really matter? I mean, legit though, we're at
Catalyst.
C. Hold on.
Catalyst. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
so
what you
good.
said.
Ow.
That's
So good.
Okay.
Expectations.
Well, as I was saying, it's a mirror matchup. I mean, I feel the choices here are maybe there's a couple of cool builds, like the gold base on Eastwatch, or really aggressive on Abiogenesis, but it's Snoot, so I didn't expect really either one of those. This guy's a good macker, and his EVZ is solid.
Yeah. No, it makes sense to pick a map like that, which is the reason I think we expected that with Roddy just before going into the break. I guess it's a map where you are not gonna get surprised by anything. It's so standard. You will be able to scout most of the things that your opponent might throw at you. So it's just going to be like a standard ZVZ. And I don't know, I'm feeling Elroy for some reason. Like, of course, Snoot is one of the top performers of NationWars of all time. But Norway hasn't done quite well in NationWars 3 and 4. They won the first and second edition. But after that, it wasn't as good. I think Snoot was like finally human, you know, like not invincible anymore. And I don't know. I predicted 4-2 for Norway, and I can see Snoot losing this game.
I feel like that's why you believe that he's going to win.
Yeah,
So you really want your prediction to win. You really want to just like shove it in Roddy's face.
Okay, so here we go for the third game. Elroy and Snoot.
Let's go. Bottom right, representing Switzerland, gets his first win and the first win of a Swiss player ever in NationWars. It is Elroy. And perfect timing with the music.
Yeah, well
that
done.
Was amazing.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg give it up for Norway's Snoot.
Ooh,
Pause.
that pause was perfectly timed with your intro. That's good. Okay, setting problem apparently on the side of Elroy. So we'll have to, you know, keep wondering what's happening in this game. Like, we don't really know yet. Nothing too fancy, too crazy coming out of either of those two players.
I didn't even really get to see if there was an early pool.
I don't think
I didn't
I've seen a hatch first from Snoot, but I'm not sure about it.
Oh, okay. It was probably then a hatch, sure.
Yeah. Maybe there's already Zerglings going through the map. I don't know.
There could be like roaches already made.
Yeah, I don't know.
StarCraft, what even is it?
Yeah. Fast.
Get an update?
I think I can hear units hatching. So
Oh,
that
okay.
might mean
That's an update.
that the game is live.
Very good then.
All right.
All right, so we were correct. It's both hatch first, so like identical build orders here. No one trying anything too sneaky. Even though Snoot's known for his macro, he definitely knows how to throw in a cheese, but I would say not in a best of one situation. Snoot would play very safe. I'm not so sure about Elroy, but he's starting things off macro anyways.
All right. Overlord will go through the map and try to get as much information as they can. No drone scout, that would be crazy, even though, well, it takes a long time to actually cross the map and confirm if your opponent is going for a hatch first or not. But they don't seem to be too afraid about that, so they'll go for this blind hatchery and gas, and then the pool. Elroy will start the speedling upgrade as fast as he can, and Snoot should do the same.
Yeah.
Slightly later gas for Snoot, who will have the resources right now.
Okay, very neck and neck. So going back to what you said before we jumped, like right before we jumped into the game, how Snoot didn't have like the best performances in the last two Nation Wars. Just, you know, even though he looks like godlike in the first the ones before that one. And I wanted to say that, you know, it's like all of the other foreigners kind of elevated. You know, Snoot was one of the first really great foreigners.
Yeah.
Amongst a couple others, but then everyone else I felt just kind of like got elevated up to his position. So Snoot like doesn't win everything, but he still is making round of fours and beating really great people, even making the finals last year. So he's still definitely in this game here versus Elroy, who was a up and coming player. I want to say a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
I got to give it to Snoot, especially because it is going into that 3-base versus 3-base situation, you know, and there could still be a Ling-Baneling war, which Snoot's actually getting the faster Baneling nest, but it's a test, I feel, when you do this. Oh, Elroy goes in for a fast
Elroy.
Okay.
Elroy likes his aggression, apparently, after a really, really, really aggressive strategy in the TVZ series that he played just before. Now we will go into a probably Ling Roach timing. We'll see what he decides to do with it. So no Baneling nest for Elroy.
Perhaps.
Just a lot of Zerglings, a swell of Zerglings that's going to be scouted instantly by Liquid Snoot. And then Roach Warren to follow it up. He's going to try and pressure the third base. There's not that many Zerglings around. Only 2 Banes for Snoot. And that might not be enough.
He might lose his third base, which is really unfortunate because with Banelings, you would think that would be a no problem. Now, he is getting Lings right now, and these Banelings are buying a lot of time. They're not quite looking for the amazing hit. They're just looking... Oh, okay, well, that was the not amazing hit for Snoots, and now his hatchery is under even more threat.
Oh, my God. Like, look at the number of drones Snoot tried to get. 36 drones against the 26 of Elroy, who's never going to drone his third base. He's going for a full-on all-in, and that's 4 more drones for Snoot. He doesn't know what's coming his way. way right now. He didn't scout the third base, doesn't really know that there is like not that many drones, not even on the natural, like 26 drones in total. He sees the roaches, but he needs to react fast, and there's still 2 drones in the production tab.
Yeah, he puts on a roach more, and he's going to start building spine crawlers. He realizes what's up and how unprepared he is for this, but Catalyst is one of the shortest maps we have other than Abiogenesis. It's very direct from natural to natural, and the army's already here.
Jess, I think if Elroy plays his card right, he might win this game. Those roaches, they just don't have an answer right now. Those spine crawlers are going to finish. Does he go for the natural? Yes, he will. He sees the spine, and they will not finish. And if he micros properly against the banelings, then he should be okay. But that's a super great detonation for Snoot right there.
The fact that he has banelings to wash off all of Elroy's supporting lings makes ling defense actually doable against a modest amount of roaches. Those roaches are already weak. They're now attacking the third base, which, I mean, he's pretty far behind in drones. Even if he did manage to kill it, would that be enough damage?
Yeah, I'm not even sure, but he will go for it anyways. Just kill the spine already because it's dealing a lot of damage, but he will go to the left side. Not that many banelings, but the first roaches for Snoot and Norway. But the first spine crawler is going to go down. There's not that many units. 36 army supply to the 29. Is the Zerglings coming in? Yes, the reinforcements from Elroy. Getting the surround on the roaches from Snoot. It's going to be super tough until the end with the reinforcements coming from the Norwegian player. He's going to get held.
Oh my gosh.
So close.
So close. I feel if he had missed an inject for 10 seconds or something, like that might have been game. But the lings of Snoot coming on the last second to support the roaches, something that Elroy can no longer really do. Getting roaches across the map would take too long. The ling flood is supposed to be the overwhelming snowball effect, and it didn't happen.
And now it looks really grim for Elroy and for Switzerland. And for my prediction, I thought it would be true right now because Elroy had a really sizable opportunity to take that game against Snoot, but for now, like, he goes back to 32 drones, which is not that bad compared to the 34 of Snoot. But did the game reset it? I'm not even sure. I still think like a sizable amount of just Snoot in a I would say position if he loses the third base, though.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been like this weird reset if he had lost the third, because his army supply is currently what's inflated from everything, because he was going to go for an attack. So if he had lost the third and this attack, clearly it's even more all in. Right now, this could just kill the few workers that Elroy has over him and maybe still be considered a success because he's getting +1 and layer. So that's all he really needs to do.
Yeah, Snoot is playing this perfectly. He's got a lot of Zerglings and Roaches, and those Spine Crawlers, they're not done yet. The Queens, they will have to be pushed back. No transfuses available. And with the static defense still being built but not defending properly, he will probably drop this game. Snoot has just too much. And Norway should take the lead 2-1 after a good game in TVZ from Elroy and almost win with this all-in from Elroy. Well, he will have to type out.
Yeah, GG. And it was a good game. Like, that was very close, down to the wire. If Snoot had no Banelings, I think with the first attack, that could have also been a huge difference.
Yeah. And even like the early connections with those two Banelings getting a lot of Zergling kills, like, it would have made a difference. But the reaction time with the Spine Crawlers, everything just lined up perfectly for Snoot to defend this attack.
Yeah. And it's good too, because he didn't know it was on the way, and it's very quick on Catalyst.
Of course, such a small map. Okay, we couldn't hear you.
There we go.
It's good now. You're here.
Okay, good. Yeah, so GG. So Snoot won this, but it was a close game. I thought that Elroy was gonna win, actually.
Yeah. He had everything he needed to win the game. I said it just before the attack started. I think. You needed to micro a little bit better, avoid those big Baneling connections, and be decisive. That's the kind of attack, like, you can't really question yourself. You need to go for the throat and kill right away. And that early defense on the Spine Crawlers on the natural was just enough for Snoot to hold the pressure and gets his own Roaches and just defend in the end.
Yeah, it was a good idea, though, from Elroy to go for the all-in. Just in general, I think Snoot is a macro monster, and maybe even Elroy would say that, like, I still feel he's better than me, so all-in is the way to go, but it's a tricky all-in. There's so many different timings and variations in ZVZ that could have been very tricky.
So we will have another ZVZ here. Penguin is gonna play for Switzerland. But let's take a look at some funny tweets before.
Word trivia, a Rotterdam classic. And I love that he chose that picture. Because that's an amazing picture of Roddy. The Switzerland secret weapon to take down Snoot and the rest of Norway. We've got the 3 players, the Swiss Army knife. And you can see Penguin on the top that will play the next game.
I'm pretty sure that there's a variation of Snoot as a god from many, many tweets.
Henrik is watching us from the Philippines while the parents are sleeping. Oh, are you doing this on phone data? It might cost you.
That's dangerous.
That's a dangerous gamble, my friend.
That's a passion, you know.
Yeah, that's passion. But I also hope you've got a sizable bank account because that could cost you a lot.
Yeah.
I think that happened to Drogo when he was in China. He was watching a stream using the Wi-Fi of the hotel. At some point, the Wi-Fi from the hotel disconnected, but he didn't know about it. So his phone went on to using data instead of Wi-Fi. And when he went back to France, I think he had to pay 10,000 euros or something like that.
No.
So, yeah.
10,000?
No.
But the thing is, like, you don't know about, like, operators in France. Like, they go crazy with data. But the thing is, like he said, no, I'm not going to pay that. Like, I didn't even know I was using data.
So what happened? So
I think they dropped it. They dropped it in
I've heard of that, actually.
He didn't have to pay in the end.
That's nice.
Or else Drogo would have had to win, like, I don't know, like 25 online cups to just pay for his phone bill, which would have been bad.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, playing online cups is also good for your skill. So maybe in the long run, it would have been good.
It actually was helpful.
Yeah.
Owing the company 10,000 euro
Exactly.
was helpful in the long run.
Silver lining.
Yeah, actually, I'm really sad that Drogo is not part of the French team. No, but it's always really hard to pick only 3 players for your team.
It is. It is, and especially for a country like France, where we have like a pretty deep lineup of players that could be potentially in the team. Like you could argue that Drogo could be in the team instead of whatever. Like any of those 3 players, he could be playing instead of them. But we'll have another ZVZ. It's going to be on Acid Plan this time, and Penguin, our non-professional player, I would say in this matchup, will have to go against Snoot. And I believed in Elroy. I don't believe in Penguin.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, mate.
Just say it straight, man. Just tell me your true feelings.
I just don't believe it now.
No, I kind of agree. I think Penguin has a couple of. It's not even like. It's not that he's cheesy. He's weird. So like he'll go mutas and other people don't. So he'll go mass mutas and other people don't. Kind of key mutas, basically what I'm saying. And that is weird. But I feel like Snoot still knows Penguin well enough to be like to expect something like that.
All right.
So here we go for the first game in this match.
Snoot versus Penguin in the bottom right, representing Switzerland. It's their last hope before a potential revive. It is Penguin.
Penguin fighting.
Representing Psystorm.
In the top left for Norway and Team Liquid, it is Snoot.
To the fighting.
So I hope Snoot will not hold it against me that I pictured Elroy taking a game from him. But now, against Penguin, it should be okay. But as you mentioned, Penguin is a weird player. He can bring stuff to the table that you don't expect. But the thing is, in the ZVZ matchup, I don't really know what it could be. Like, the all-in that Elroy went for, quite known, really good on Catalyst. Now we are on Acid Plant, which is kind of a weird map. It's kind of tough to get to your opponent. It looks like a tiny map, but the passing of the units makes it a fairly long map, actually. Yeah,
it's very windy, as our observer is now showing. It goes to the middle, and you got a wall off there, and that's only to the 4th, too. That's a potential 5th. There's finally to the natural. So it is actually fairly long, but shorter by air, so the overlords get to scout much faster. Now, Penguin, in terms of what he can do in ZVZ, I mean, there's those timings that you can practice over and over and over again, and will occasionally net you victories as long as you can really hit the timing well. Those non-lair Roach Ling all-ins, like those can be really terrifying, like Elroy did, except because it was like a lot earlier. But I don't think Penguin is the type to do that. I don't think he actually, dedicates his time to hitting the perfect timing and hitting the perfect mechanics. I think he has a bit of fun with the game. He does ladder a lot, and it's not to say his mechanics are bad, but it's more about his funky way of playing and catching people off guard. So in this matchup, I gotta say that's either upgraded Lings, that kind of make the game weird, or it's some type of Spire timing.
We'll see. We'll see what he decides to go for. Actually, an early lair could be interesting, and not going for speedlings earlier with the upgrade is actually going to line up perfectly for a super early lair timing. We'll see what he decides to go for. Can we expect like some kind of Nidus?
I'm still thinking Spire, man.
Spire?
Penguin's
Spire
always
on
been
two-base?
mutas with me. Even in the times where maybe he's tried not going mutas, I still like it. Just he goes back to what it feels in a lot of matchups. But this is
He
interesting.
likes his mutas.
Yeah.
Last time I played him, I had like 50 mutas in my base.
I bet.
Easy, so
Yeah.
it was not fun at all.
So this is interesting though because Snoot is still on 2 bases and he's getting a Baneling Nest, which I mean seems like it's either very safe, right? Without a third, you don't have to worry about defending it, and then he is going to get a third. Or it can be used to attack. If he feels like something is up, like a fast lair, God forbid he actually gets a scout inside the main, and he attacked with Ling Baneling, you know, Penguin wouldn't have a whole lot. He's actually going to get in there with slow Lings and see the fast lair. Will he see the Roach Warren? That's not a Spire. It's at the front. It's at the front. Yeah, exactly. It actually could. It could be a fake Roach Warren, so he's going to want to reconfirm that. But
did he see it though?
Yeah, it's at the front.
Okay,
so.
he did see it. Okay, sorry. I thought it was an Evo Chamber, the first one on the left, but no, it's been spotted. The Roach Warren is here, so super early 1-1 Roaches with Glial Reconstitution. Like, do you have to go for such a fast lair?
I feel like it's not usual to get that fast of a lair. Obviously, when you go 2 base, you do faster. So it is going to be that Nidus Storm that you called. But unfortunately, with the scout that Snoot had, how fast the lair was compared to the wall off and how much he knows he's too big of a threat not to try and like cheese outs, right? Like, I got to think he's got to expect something like this. And the mere fact that he'll have roaches instead of drones should be good enough to hold.
Okay, we'll see. Already 9 Roaches in the production tab for Snoot, as you mentioned. Such a, a clever player in general. Not going to be, like, blindsided by a strategy. He doesn't really know what it is yet, but he knows that there's a Roach Warren. He knows about the potential for technology coming from the side of Penguin. The Nidus is going to get dropped down in the main, and Snoot sees it instantly with a good overload positioning. Let's see if he can make it happen with 43 army supply against the 46 of Snoot, but some queens are already in the Nidus, so some Transfuse will be in play. Transfuse!
Okay, almost missed it. The Nidus Storm is not going to be taken down. It is just numbers to numbers, and drones are being pulled as Snoot realizes he's got to nip this in the bud, which I think he can do even without the drones.
Yeah, he will try to do it, and he will kill the Nidus, and that looks like a Penguin loss on this one because he's going to lose a lot of stuff for only 4 drones. Let's see if he types out or see if he tries to play the game right away. It looks like he will with a Spire as a follow-up.
Okay, so eventually we got there somehow, but it was up to a Spire, and this
we
is...
were both right.
Yes, yeah, well, it's like that's a fair agreement. I mean, it's not just a Penguin like bias. I have my perception of him. It's also you just failed an all-in, so you got to do something weird, even more than when you thought I had to do something weird because I'm facing Snoot. And following up with the quickest Spire possible might just catch Snoot trying to be too confident, moving across the map, and then mutas suddenly come out and kill the Roaches. It might go okay for Penguin, but then he also might just die before he gets to the mutas.
But that's the thing also, like we've got 47 drones and 3 bases for Snoot, so I don't see him like losing right away to the mutas. He might lose a lot of economy, but except from that, like he can still play this game. He will still be able to plant down some spores and just at least save probably his main in natural. So we'll see what Penguin decides to go for, if he masses them, if he tries just to win some time and play a normal game after that, go back into Roaches. He's going to be able to produce 5 Mutalisk, which is okay, but not a tremendous amount, right?
Yeah, he's up to 7 now.
Oh, 7. That's better.
Yeah, he'll just,
that's actually 2 Mutas better.
Yeah.
It's
actually going to get a couple of Roaches. I mean, if this is like a normal macro game and you went for that tricky Spire but on 3 base drones, like it often comes down to like Roaches helping you out. You can't just depend on the mutas, but this is such an extreme example of that situation with how the early game went. These mutas are going to help, but there's nothing else really here. There's like a handful of Roaches for Penguin.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really tough for Penguin because, yes, the mutas are not going to be touched by those Roaches or even Ravagers. He's going to try maybe with the Corrosive Bile now. He's going to try to destroy the Roach Warren so Penguin doesn't have anything on the ground, but it's going to take so much time for those mutas to clear every single unit at the same time. Penguin is losing in his entire economy, might lose the hatchery in the main, might lose the lair in the hatchery on the natural and lair in the main. So yeah, those mutas are cool, but they're not killing units fast enough, Jess.
Nope. There's nothing else to hold off the Roaches from getting into the natural. Maybe if that was the case, it could be different. But Penguin knows to tap out. GG.
G in Norway in a prime position to qualify for the round of 16 with now a 3-1 lead over Switzerland.
Yeah. I mean, now they got to revive someone who had the best performance against Snoot.
Elroy.
I think it's Elroy. Yeah, like he had the closest game, even if it wasn't very long or like, back and forth, but it was close in that it was like a second sooner, 2 less banelings. Elroy could have had it.
I think Penguin is out of the picture on this one for the revive. Maybe Funk, even though he didn't play the best games he had, maybe when you think about like the long run, because you don't only have to beat Snoot, actually you have to beat him twice.
Yeah.
But you also have to take 1 more point out of the team. So maybe in the long run, like the question is like, who's the most solid player all around? So
yeah.
I'd still say Elroy, considering he got a game and he was close from upsetting Snoots. But maybe there's a case for Funk as well.
Yeah, I feel like Funk would really have to convince his team, like, hey, my PVZ is actually very, very good, and I could have had that game versus Scythe. So, yeah, I hope they're communicating, but I think my gut feeling would be Elroy.
They've got 3 minutes to decide.
There you go. Yeah.
We'll know about it fairly soon, Ajin, I think.
Okay, so we'll be back after a short break.
On doit savoir le score avant de partir.
Welcome back with us. We were in the second match of the day between Switzerland and Norway, and it might be the last game for Switzerland. So we have 3-1 for Norway.
Yep, and we're waiting on the next player. I don't know who they're gonna revive. We expected Elroy, and we should know fairly soon who's the next player. Elroy or Funk? If it's Penguin, I would just lose it.
Yeah, it'd be pretty shocking. I don't know how much of his bag of tricks is going to work. Seems that Snoot knows what to do against him.
Yeah, the Nidus didn't connect. The Mutas, well, 7 Mutas against a billion roaches, guys. It's just not going to go well.
Simple math right there.
Yeah. It takes too long. It takes too long to take them out. And it's going to be Elroy.
And it's going to be Elroy.
Cool. Okay, so I wonder what he has in store.
Another cheese.
It was really close game, so maybe might make it.
Yeah, I think it'd have to be another all-in, though. Like a different variation on timing and like drone count and just maybe, good anti or denial on scouting. But I really feel like it's going to be like something like that. And Backwater would be one of those clever, I have a third, it's drone maps that you can try and get something done surprise factor-wise.
All right. Yeah, I can see it work, but like, considering how close it was on Catalyst, like it's also mentally speaking, I think it's kind of bad for Elroy. Like, I had it, And does he take that first game as something that will push him to do better, or does he just kill his hype in general? I will see.
Hey.
All right, that's an early pool.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Guess we should get into it. In the bottom right, with the early pool, the last hope here, it is the red Zerg, Elroy.
Going for a super fast pool in this game against this guy. One of the top performers of all time in NationWars, double champion with Norway, first season and second season. It is Snoot.
I guess picking Abiogenesis would be too obvious.
Yeah, it's too obvious. Let's play a standard macro game while I drop down a spawning pool and I Zergling rush you.
Yeah. Now, it is a spawning pool without gas, so there is a plan to macro out of this. An early start to the game, Elroy might think that's a key to him getting like a little bit of an advantage, and then he could actually take a decent mid-game to Snoot. But Snoot's, I'm sure he was on guard about the Roach all-in. He just didn't know what timing. I know he was on guard about the Nidus because he got such good scouting. This guy is not going to be able to scout this build. The other just doesn't reach it that fast. But I think he has excellent early cheese defense. So I'm not too worried. Oh, it's hopefully doesn't even see this.
Yeah, it doesn't see the Zerglings coming out. That
one has to.
one. No.
Oh my! Oh no, that's awkward.
Okay.
I feel like it's about mental preparation. You
Exactly,
know, like you
that's what
can't
I was
do very
about to say.
much, but you can be like, okay, I'm going to pull the drones.
It's not like you're going to chrono boost your spawning pool so it builds faster, right? But you also have that, extra time to prepare and react accordingly. We should see, some Zerglings being built, but you also have to pull some drones against, a non-Zergling speed. But the thing is, he doesn't know about it. Snoot doesn't know that the extractor hasn't been dropped down and that the speed is not going to come. So he drops the spine crawler on the top of the ramp. Now the Zerglings are out for Snoot. Let's see about those micro.
This ends up going well enough. I was a little worried losing that first drone.
Yep.
But the Lings pop with a good drone concave, I guess. And this looks like he's going to hold.
Yep. It looks like a pretty cool hole. Like he didn't lose that much.
Did he cancel the... What the heck?
What's going on? He tried to get a cheeky overload, but he didn't get it. Nice reaction from Snoot. Even though he was being all in, or at least attacked quite bad, he was able to save his overload, do the right click at the right time. The speed upgrade will start to research on the side of Snoot, as Elroy has his second base but doesn't have any gas yet. He does have a small lead in terms of worker with 22 against the 18 of Snoot.
I guess it kind of makes sense when you don't get that gas, and there's even the gasless follow-up. In general, you really hold off and then get double gas and just go straight into roaches. Backwater has like an okay sized choke, I suppose, to wall off once the creep spreads over there. And that's what it is, double gas coming down. But did Snoot cancel the spine crawler? Because if he did, I think that makes his defense almost perfect. Okay, he didn't. It'll be useful for later. It's not like that big of a deal. Of course, it's more important to save your hatchery and not lose any drones. You only lost the one. But that could have been close to a perfect hole.
Yeah, when we're watching Snoot play, we always expect like that perfect defense and like last second cancel on the spine crawler. But I guess it doesn't change that much, as you said. It can be used offensively a little bit later in the game. So just 100 minerals down the drain and a drone, at least for Snoot with the spine crawler. Both players will go into a third hatchery, but that's to be expected in this matchup. So I'd say Elroy did okay, but is not in a perfect position whatsoever. Like he didn't lose the game right away, didn't get a massive advantage out of it. Like the game is quite equal right now. It just doesn't have speedling, but now that the speedling moment, the timing in the game just fade away. Like there's no reason to research it now.
Yeah, I mean, later on, maybe you'll see some cool Ling run-bys. I mean, actually have Snoot really pushing the issue. There's a transfuse available on 2 queens.
Yep. Oh, okay. That queen on the top had 2 transfuses, actually.
Now she's going to die. Oh, okay, but that's not enough Lings really to do very much. He wasn't following up either, although he might be following up with roaches.
Oh, yeah.
A bit of a slow Ling scuffle over here.
Yeah. Elroy needs to scout those roaches popping out. He doesn't know what's in the eggs. He didn't check the third base for drones. So he's not going to be aware that this is coming. He hasn't seen the roach warren. But that overload from Elroy might tell him something. There is no drones working on that third base, and that's already a tell that Snoot might be aggressive, might get aggressive.
There's a couple cool things happening here. Elroy on Backwater was able to get this wall off so that he could skip speed and gas, and even if his all-in or his attack didn't work, which it didn't really, he'd be okay. But definitely gives you lack of scouting. You don't have those speedlings running around the map, seeing what Snoot's doing. You don't have them running through the main. And that Overlord didn't, I guess, fully check the third. So this Roach attack, a big surprise. Elroy has the potential to make Roaches, of course, but it's so late.
Yeah, and he sees the aggression coming in. Or even the Spine Crawler has been uprooted, and you'll see. Maybe it's going to impact a lot, but that Roach Warren is awfully exposed, and it's going to die right away. Only 12 Roaches in the production time. Now we needs to build Zerglings. Those Spine Crawlers, they're not done yet on the side of Elroy. I feel like deja vu on this game. Just before, Elroy with the counterattack wasn't able to defend, and that looks really grim for Switzerland in general, because Elroy is their last hope. The Spine Crawler will root herself in the base, in the natural, and that's a GG already. 4-1. Norway is in top 16.
It is a pretty cool game as far as if you're going to study a ZVZ back and forth and whatnot, but when you actually watch it, it was pretty direct, They really pulled in, do much damage. Snoot read the follow-up perfectly and then knew a good way to counter it, and Elroy didn't realize what was happening.
Yeah, just a little bit too late. Spine Crawlers weren't done. And that's a 4-1 victory. Rotterdam is right again.
And me.
Wow.
I'm glad
That
that
annoys me so much.
he said 4-1. Well, I almost regretted not saying 4-2 because I was like similar mind. Like they'll send the guys out for experience and then they'll send out Snoot.
Elroy, I train also. He could have.
Okay, you
got a
also.
win.
I wasn't on that mind. So,
Yeah, me
but-
neither. Me neither. But when I saw Elroy, I was like, okay, maybe he can do it. So, round of 16 for Norway. I guess that's fairly normal considering how good they are. Switzerland finally won a game in NationWars, but just only
Just
one
the
game.
one.
Nah, that's not
That's
enough.
something. That's something.
That's something.
Yeah.
Maybe
Next season
NationWars
will
was
be-
6.
Yeah, it'll be
games?
2 and then 3 and then suddenly the Nation Wars 9.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe on Warcraft 4.
Warcraft 4.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sure.
I don't know.
Maybe 4 years from now, anything can happen.
That'd be great. That'd
Okay,
be great.
so we have now a second country who is qualified for the next round of 16, UK and Norway. So now the interview with Poseidon, actually, who hasn't played.
Yeah, he didn't.
okay.
He
Yeah.
didn't have to play. We'll hear from him. I don't know if he is. Probably. Well, obviously, really happy to qualify. Oh, he's here. He's already here,
Hi.
Hello.
and he's got his team jersey. Did you get a call from your manager?
No, it's not my team jersey. It's my previous team.
Oh,
Oh, it's extra awkward.
even worse.
What's that?
All right,
It
Poseidon.
got my name on it at least.
Okay, can you show us? Is it in the back?
It's in the back.
You don't have to.
No, you have to. Nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Okay, so what did you think of the games?
It was as predicted that they would most likely use Elroy if they was going to lose the first round against Sight. So my predictions were right that we won 4-1. So I'm quite happy, and Snoot did perform well, even if that last game was a bit looking hard since he was going at hatch first against a 12 pool. Didn't seem to favor him that much opening wise.
Yeah, but he did okay with the defense, but that's something that you expect out of Snoot. So you qualified, but also you didn't get to play. Are you like half happy, half frustrated, or are you just happy that you're in the top 16?
Well, I would like to play, but again, it gives me a better, like a secret card that I haven't revealed my plays yet, and I get to practice more secretly with my teammates and other players. So it might be a good thing for us in the next round. It really depends on what we draw, of course.
Okay,
Yes.
so we'll be expecting a specific strategy from you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
Secret,
fancy,
yeah.
amazing
I can't
strategy.
wait.
Yeah, the round of 16.
Do you expect? Do you have anything planned in terms of out of game celebration if you qualify? Can we expect anything from the Norwegian lineup in terms of ceremonies if you guys win?
If win the entire nation war, so I'm in the group stage.
Oh, whatever. Like Skype interviews for ceremonies are okay. If you are in Paris, you can do it on stage. Like either one would be okay.
Yeah.
But you plan on doing anything?
Of course, we have to make some interesting moves. You know, we got to do it for the viewers.
All right.
Okay.
Jess, you want to ask him something?
Well, I think the the old question of who do you not want to face in the round of 16, I think it's probably the same sentiment that Muslim has. Like every country that's going to make it is scary, right?
Well, we actually want to have South Korea in our group.
Oh, you want? Oh.
That is
We also
interesting.
want to have two of the weakest lands in our group as well, because if we get that, we'll have a better chance of a slightly easier opponent in the quarterfinals.
Oh
I
yeah,
guess that's a good point.
it does make sense.
Yeah.
makes
Do you
sense.
think the South Korean team is just it's beatable this year, or you just have faith in Snoot?
Well, to be honest, I think they're beatable. You saw Stats beat Sue now, and MMA is like upcoming, but I don't think he is at the level of innovation and Sue. And I think every top top foreign player have a chance to take games off them. It's a matter of just getting a good read of your opponent and pick a nice build.
All right.
Okay. So I have a question here. So you have a really balanced team like a Zerg, a Terran, and Protoss. Have you been practicing together against each other? And is Snoot giving you some advice?
Yeah, we're practicing a bit together, but like me and the site isn't on the Snoot's level, so he's also practicing a bit with others a bit quite higher. But we get advice from him, which is really nice because we're trying to do nice research together and come up with some builds which is viable. And of course, we are thinking about the map orders when we're playing.
Yeah.
So like it will. If we take the first map, it's the next maps is favored for our first player or the second player. It's good preparations from us.
Sounds
All
good.
right. All right.
So do you have anything to say, last words to your fans and everyone watching the stream?
Yeah, I would like to say thanks for everyone to vote for me, Snoot, and Sight for the games, and we hope we gave you guys a nice show today, and we're going to perform better next time. So thanks for the viewership.
Well, thanks a lot and congratulations in moving on to the next stage.
Well played, guys.
Thank you.
See you around round of 16.
See you next week. So, one match left for today.
All right.
So we have Canada and Hungary is gonna play just after the break.
All right. Hyped.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure. Canada doesn't have as strong of a lineup this year, but don't know much about Hungary. So
Four all-ins maybe coming out of No Regret or something like that.
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, BioIce is also kind of an aggressive player, so I don't know.
And of course, don't hesitate to vote in the chat. You can type CAN or HUN if you believe that Canada or Hungary are going to take it. Some tweets. We want to see some tweets, obviously. All right. Let's go throw it to break, and we come back with Canada versus Hungary.